Okay, looks like I'm live. I hope my voice is audible as well. Oh, hey guys, this is my first live stream. I'm going to be developing my VS Code extension. It's called Vortex. So the basic extension has already been developed, and I have a working prototype, and I will be making some changes and hopefully few bug fixes along the way. So before I begin, I would like to first log what happens when you use the extension and what you can use it for. So I'll just open. I have a window of VS Code where my extension is already installed locally, and I'm just going to demonstrate it now. So to begin with, let me select a language. I'll just go ahead with Python, and the extension is called Vortex. So you can see as these are my recently used commands. So the Vortex commands are coming on top. I've been testing them heavily. Let me start with the generate code command. So let's say we just want Vortex to generate some code given a description. I'm going to give it a sample description. Let's say take user number input, print the factorial of that number. I just press enter and give it a few seconds. Hopefully this works fine. Okay, I think there was some problem. This is GPT. Try that again. Capture the input as a number and print the factorial. I believe it was something with the wording that set it off the first time, and you can see now finished the task and it's generated the code. There is a problem here where it also prints the code using backticks. This is something that I'm trying to solve. Hopefully I'll be able to solve it at the end of the stream. For now I'll just remove them manually, and you can see it has generated the recommended code. We get the user input as an integer, calculate the factorial using math, and we print the factorial. Okay, but before we move ahead, let me demonstrate the other features as well. So what I can do now is actually ask it to review the code, and wait a few seconds. So the review actually opens in a sidebar, and you can see it says you can add input validation and you can use f strings. So let's actually look at that suggestion. So use f strings. Currently this is the older way of concatenating strings. So what it's suggesting is why don't you use an f string to improve readability. So let's actually try that. And the good thing is I have another command here with Vortex, which is to edit code. Now here I can provide an edit description. So let me just say use f string, and let's see if it does the magic. So the backend is powered by GPT, so it's hitting the OpenAI chat completion API to do all the magic. I believe there was something wrong in this as well. Need to add more error logging. Sometimes it just doesn't respond or responds after a really long time. Try that again. And you can see I was able to figure out that the string could indeed be converted into an f string and made the changes automatically. And we can also possibly do this change here. Now the input function assumes the user will enter a valid integer. Okay, let's try to add that as an edit description. See if it's able to figure out. You can see this does do input validation, but there is a while loop. I'm not sure why it generated that, because once the user input has been this is actually fine, because if there was indeed an input error or an invalid input, then there would be a value error raised, and it'll just print that and go back to the beginning of the loop and try to accept an integer. And yes, this seems to have done the job pretty good. And this is the extension that I have. The code for this is actually open source. It's in my GitHub repository. So today, hopefully, I'll be able to go and publish the extension on the VS Code marketplace. So let me see how I can do that. And here is my repository with a bunch of issues that I raised myself that I would like to fix. Not all of them are bugs, not all of them are features either. But some of them are straightforward, where I know exactly what I have to do. Some of them are much more complex, like adding CI to the repo. It's not something that I would like to do on the first stream. So hopefully I pick something up and I'm able to publish something to the marketplace by the end of this stream. Okay, so let me see what I can pick up today. So allow resetting or updating the API key. Right, so currently I don't think there is any way for people who are using the extension to reset the API key in case they lose the OpenAI API key. Then there is no way for them to reset that. So let's actually go ahead and fix that. I'm gonna close these tabs, and this is the code of the extension where I activate different commands. So actually this could be a new command. I think that's the easiest way to go about it. This file also requires a refactor. It's something that also added as an issue, in fact. Reset key. Or let me actually call it update. Just be back in a second. Alright, so we have the command update API key. So let's see what we want it to do. We want to pick some input from the user, which is going to appear somewhere over here. So everywhere we get a description to so actually both of these are the same function in utils. Just need to create a common function called get description, take in a couple of parameters, and I can remove the redundancy here. Maybe I can just call it get text input. There was an issue processing with Vortex. This is possibly one of those commands that we ran much earlier. I need to set timeouts as well. Make a note of that. So let me go ahead and actually create a text input. Actually, why not try using Vortex to do this? I'm going to say edit and get text input takes in Okay, let's see what it does. Okay. It actually did the refactor that I really wanted. It also added redundant import here. Go ahead and use this. In fact, get edit description has now been fixed. But we could either do that and not export this, or actually this now that I think about it is a better way to go. What I mean is I didn't want to initially quote this. Think about it, not. So get generate description is actually just turn white and pass in these parameters. Type what code you would like to generate. A placeholder. Let me for the moment remove the doc strings. Much better. I have a format on save setup. So this is going to be get API key. Just equal to NAI API key. Okay, so there is some other place where we are actually already doing this. So let me go ahead and that should be at the beginning of activation. So input box, which is actually this. Oh, now that I see this, there's a password and node focus out as well. Okay, let's see. We don't actually placeholder, so placeholder. Let's do some more edits to this one. Say move parameters into a single context object and add 2 more optional parameters. Let's see what it goes ahead with. I haven't given it the name of the optional parameters. Okay. It actually says value and password, which are pretty close to going for. So this password and read is node focus out. Both of these are booleans. Leave out, yes. So in which case use not. So actually we are going to replace with ignore focus out. Okay. Now get text input changes to title. Me actually first move this here. It's called prompt. It's Good. Let me just copy the structure over here. Now to do is what we have placeholder and good. Okay, this is not being used anymore. API key. Which is the same as your promise. Okay, now let's see. So the API key is actually a member of this function. So the update API key is not going to do any of these. It's just going to be get text input, get text input. So let me just check something here. It does VS Code.window dot. So yes, can be function which does not rely on editor or anything for that. No one information. Key is API key. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set this, get it in our secret store. Not that, it's just the same code. Will be refactored into function and say what dated keys. Okay, looks good. And this is not being used because okay, that's attempting to API key disposable. This is not enough. We also need to register this command in our package JSON. We have to say what the title of the command is going to be, which do so here. And this the title, the date API key. You need to keep in mind that I am doing all of this in my main branch, but I will be creating a separate branch for this. Okay, so let me actually go ahead and build this and see what happens. Build task. Good, so there were no problems. So I'm going to open another instance of VS Code which has the extension, the updated extension installed. So that's how we actually develop and debug extensions. So this VS Code window, as you can see here, it says it's an extension development host. So the extension is currently active, and this has the updated code. So which means I should be able to update API key here. Let's say I enter something. I'm just typing ABCD. Okay, so it's updated the key successfully, but now if I try to do anything else, function to make an API call, try to run this, it should fail. Okay, which means the API key did not get updated successfully. Either that or it did not retrieve it from the key store, because I get what would have happened. So once we do that, we are not updating the instance of Vortex. It's still using the originally instantiated object. So maybe that's what's happening. So let me go ahead and fix that. So where we do Vortex, and this is an instance of Vortex, and you can see we initialize this here. So we need to do this over here as well. So I need to reinitialize Vortex after setting this in the key store. Go ahead. I also actually had a so reload window. So that's the way to actually reload this with the newer version of the extension. So this time I believe the secret store already had the wrong key, which means it should fail when I try to do this. Go ahead and generate code. Util function to calculate average list of numbers. I do know that there is a Python function that does this already. Failed with request 401, and that's because we're using the wrong API key. Great, so which means this works as expected. I'm just going to go and push that. So let's see, changes are made. Added a new command in package.json. The extension. So actually in the utils, I refactored this to become a single get text input, and created a get API key wrapper around that, which I currently use to fetch the API key and set it in this new command that I just added. Right, looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and push this. Go ahead. Oh, I'm on my main branch. So stop the build. This VS Code. Wanted to check out to slash update API key. I'm going to do a stage changes, add command to update API key. I'm just going to go and commit and push this. This is going to publish the branch on the remote, and in a moment I'm just going to go create a PR and close this issue. Compare and pull request. See. I can't. Oh, this just okay. Close it. Allow resetting. Create the pull request. Like it when there are there is always code removed from functions, because you know that there was some refactoring that was done, and there is some incremental change in your code base which keeps improving it. Okay, so this looks good. We have a get API key now. This is the new command. Get the API key. It's falsy, then we show a warning message. I'm actually not sure how readable this is on stream, but I'm gonna go with this for now. Maybe I'll zoom in a bit. We set the new API key in the secret store and create a new instance of Vortex, and we just show an information message that is updated successfully. And we are subscribing to the disposable here. Here I have refactored this function, so ideally that should have been in a different PR, but whatever. I think this looks good. So I can't approve my own PR, but I am the repo owner, so I'm just gonna go and merge this for now. So do is can just check out to main now and pull the latest changes. Yeah. This code looks good. Another thing is extension.ts is actually just supposed to register these subscriptions and participate in activating these commands, but activating the extension, I'm sorry, and registering the commands. But right now it does a lot of logic, so I want to eventually move that logic inside of Vortex and let the extension.ts file just behave as a router of sorts, where it just points to the corresponding functions inside Vortex. So I can actually delete the remote branch. So I believe there's an issue on it. Yes, refactor move core logic into Vortex, keep extension to ts lite. So that is something that's coming up as well. Apart from that, I'm pretty sure that this looks good enough for a first cut to publish to the marketplace. Let me go ahead and see how I can go about doing that. I believe I need to have an Azure account to get this done. Extension. Let me actually quickly go to the stream and see what's up. Been streaming for the last half an hour. Okay, that's good. Nobody here yet. Expected, because this is my first stream and I haven't been going around talking about it either. Okay. I have to actually update my README as well now. Yes, I actually remembered that. So more of ready README to publish to marketplace. Update the README with instructions on how to install, use the extension. Now that most initial bugs and basic features have been sorted out, this should be good enough. Good to label all the issues that we create, so I'm just going to make this documentation. I'm going to be working on it. Don't need to assign people. Go to the README, open the markdown preview. Let me When the extension activates, you will see a prompt to enter your OpenAI API key. Enter the key here and the extension will be ready to use. Let's make this setup. Somewhere I have a requirements section. Maybe I should move this up, because people need to know that they need to have something before they start downloading the extension, and then they realize, you know what, they can use this without having the API key. So I'm just putting this up top. Okay. Simply install the extension from the VS Code Marketplace. I think this is redundant, be available, and can be used to enhance generate it or code. AI, the key here and the so actually a note here on why it's prompting here and not asking it to be set in the configuration would be good. The thing is, if you set it in the VS Code config, which you can find in user settings over here, the thing is, all of these values are actually readable by other extensions which are also installed in your workspace. So it's a bad idea to keep any API keys or credentials inside of this, which is why VS Code has a secret storage interface where we can safely store these. And if you use the secret storage, then what happens is the keys or values that you store in that also persist across workspace reloads. So that plays nicely with storing API keys, which is what the extension does. Maybe I'll make a note of it here. Extension VS Code's secret storage to safely store keys not in the user settings, which is something that is readable for all other extensions in the workspace. So maybe I should make this bold. I'm not sure it automatically does that. Double asterisk. When the extension activates, alright. Follow these simple steps. Open the command palette, type edit code. Okay. So use cases. This actually makes it look like the extension can only edit code, but we can also generate and review code. So let's maybe change this. Vortex can help generate, edit, or review code. As an example, to use Vortex to edit code, follow these simple steps. You can follow similar steps to use the generate code and review code. Use case. So I think we can improve upon the use cases here because it just is these. Let's say let's actually remove this for now. Maybe let's add to do generate code, then util function to make API calls. We might also want to, okay, this says select code. If you don't select anything, the entire file contents will be chosen as the selection. We also need to add a note on some configurations. Need to be able to link to this somehow. For now, I'm just gonna put this in settings. You know, to understand how to choose how to configure Vortex to not process too many lines. Okay, when the VS Code command palette type, okay, string generation is going to be the code. Instead of this, let's make this colon. Going to possibly make it cleaner. And this is also an edit. Do is code review. Okay, I'm supposed to put backticks there. So this is going to be review code, and that the common use cases. Okay, looks good. Extension settings. There is no issues or no more. Joy, it looks good. And again, I'm going to push this to branch. Update readme. This. I think this looks good for now. I'm just gonna review it on the PR itself because I think the interface is better there. Need to select latest changes. Button push this. Okay, just wait for a moment. Let's again go to pull requests and see the latest changes. Okay, so there should be a rich diff. Okay, so the requirements are up here. You can fetch your OpenAI API key here. Use to enhance and edit. This is called setup. Generate editor review code. Follow these simple steps. You have the following function. Okay. All of this looks good. Good. The known issues section is completely gone for now. Okay, there's nothing to expand there, I guess. All right, this looks good. And let's say classes need me to great. So I got to do a bunch of small refactors here and there. I added the functionality to be able to reset the API key, and I also updated the README to reflect what the latest state of code is, latest state of the extension is. I guess that's it for now. Actually, I'll be closing the stream now. I hope this is informative to any viewers out there. And what I'm going to do is, in the next stream, hopefully I'll be able to publish the extension, and hopefully I'll also be able to stream for longer. I started a bit late today, but I'll be able to make up for it tomorrow or some other day. Until then, thanks, and if you like the content, please subscribe.